What do fairies look like to you? Do they look like this? Or do they look like this? Or do they look like this?
Bruh.
Hey, it's Ray, and welcome to the Rayverse. New intro? Okay. Today I'm back with a niche micro aesthetic that I got too invested into and now I have a whole video about. Today we'll be talking about Fairycore. I always revert back to the aesthetic. It always draws me in, like literally since 2020, dude. Like since the peak of this aesthetic, I was there, I was sat, I was doing it. Fairies, elves, it's always had a chokehold on me, like forever. A lot of my art is primarily based around that. It just strokes my brain the perfect way, you know? Like the idea of being this small and being able to sit on little mushrooms and frolic around the forest, sign me up. I've broken this video up into two parts. The first part will be general fantasy fairycore, and then the second part I'll dive into the trinket / collector girl aesthetic. Like, it just reminds me of like little foraging fairies, foraging fairycore. And of course I'll be talking about the fashion and the media of these aesthetics. And before we get into this video, I have a new portion called Ray's Fashion Segment, aka product placement. Chongker sent me one of their cat bags and it's literally the cutest thing ever. Guys, I'm literally telling you, it is the cutest thing ever. She literally looks real. She's my little meow meow. Every fairy needs a little furry friend. And if I was fairy sized, she would be my little cat I ride on. That's the scenario I'm making up. She is also a bag. So if I wanted to carry my cute little things, I could carry them in her. Isn't she cute? Isn't that right, meow meow? The paws, y'all. The paws are real paws. The little baby paws are so cute. They also can work with every kind of outfit and aesthetic. If you want to go cute kawaii, you can get it. If you want to do a little fairycore moment, it also works as well. If you're allergic to cats or can't get a cat, this is a really good alternative because I feel emotionally connected to her. What should we call her, y'all? Comment down below what you think we should call my little meow meow girl. If you're interested in purchasing her, If you're interested in getting one of these for a discounted price, you can click the link in the description below. It will also be in my link tree forever. Chongker has multiple different choices on their website and different animals, and you can also make your own custom plushie baby. From the 7th to the 13th, all cat bags will be 15% off. So if you're interested in getting one, please get one. I've been wanting one for so long and I finally got her and I love her. Mwah. Thank you so much, Chongker, for sending me this, and let's get back to the video. Okay, let's get into it. When you think of fairycore, your brain probably goes in between something like 2020 oversaturated, badly edited wings on photos to like cottagecore. Don't get me wrong, I loved the badly editing wings era. Loved it. It was super cunt, super camp, super A-alicious. But do not mention cottagecore around me because I hate it. Not the aesthetic itself, but the overuse of cringy cottagecore marketing, as well as the cottagecore TikToks that promote conservative ideals. Though not you, cottagecore lesbians. I love you, mommy. But even with the plethora of fast fashion websites with the section Fairycore that has a bunch of half-assed pieces that resemble fairycore, there is a very real and living culture to this aesthetic, specifically like the fantasy world. Lively places like Renaissance fairs and people who play D&D are very active in the fantasy community. I've never played D&D myself, but y'all sign me the fuck up because I would eat down. Like, that sounds like so much fun. I actually started watching Game of Thrones for this video. I mean, what's more dark fantasy core than that? Am I right? The whole dark medieval fantasy aesthetic is just, especially these pointy hats. I love these pointy hats. Let's bring them back. I will bring them back. I will make them and wear them on my head because I love this shit. There's also kind of a lighter fantasy core aesthetic, like Ghibli movies and Breath of the Wild, definitely have like this light, whimsical fantasy aesthetic. This aesthetic is what kind of brings in like the fairycore that we think about, I think. The music video Bon Voyage by Yua is like a perfect example of like this aesthetic. When I first watched this video and when it came out, my eyes like widened. I was just like locked the fuck in. Like, it was so good. The song is also very fairycore. Like, it makes you feel like you're running through grass in a field and sitting on a little mushroom. I don't know why I keep bringing that up. I also like the stage performance of the song, like the little fairy wings in the back. Like, she literally looks like Tinkerbell IRL. It's cute. The outfit is super simple, but it's definitely core as fuck. I like the way it flows behind her when she's dancing. It's super cute. Generalized fairycore like this definitely has pieces that are more costumey. I kind of like hate that term, or like more like wearable art type of fashion. Like all of these beautiful pieces that I've seen on Pinterest. Unfortunately, on Pinterest, it's super hard to find original creators to things. So if you guys recognize anything that I bring up in this video, please let me know in the comments. These like handmade independent artist pieces. There is also a lot of fairycore high fashion collections. I'll be talking about high fashion throughout the video because I was finding a plethora of high fashion fairycore pieces, and Miss Sohi's Couture's The Girl in Full Bloom collection has drop dead amazing pieces. Like, they literally came out of a flower fairy book. I swear to God. These are living fairies right now. There's also these amazing wing dresses from the Anna Sway Spring 1997 collection. This is when I noticed the intricate beading, the flowy fabric, the loose silhouettes of all of these pieces. It just really rings true to the fairycore aesthetic. Also, the Issei Miyake Fall 2004 collection. Like, I need to be an Aya Takano fairy girl as soon as possible. Right now. This is definitely one of my favorite collections ever. It's just so gorgeous, and it's also so fairycore. Take a shot every time I say fairycore, y'all, because it's gonna be a lot. I think this general fairycore isn't very mainstream just because it's kind of harder to obtain a lot of these pieces, especially ones with very intricate beading. And as I said, like, high fashion brands have a lot of these, but not everyone can afford high fashion, y'all, especially not ones from 2008. But I think at Feline Famine on Instagram really has embodied this whole thing, and I got inspired by her with these and kind of like the general silhouette of my outfit today. I definitely embodied her vibe, especially like her room aesthetic and everything. She really just looks like an IRL fairy, and I love that. Now, as I mentioned, generalized fairycore isn't that easy to obtain, especially on yourself, and there's also very limited types of media surrounding it. Like, I mean, there's Tinkerbell, which I think Tinkerbell she slay, but I was never a Tinkerbell girl. The generalized fairycore media is very catered towards children, and there isn't that much content, I noticed. Let's get into a collector core. With every major aesthetic, there is a Japanese fashion community that I love even more. Mori-kei is a Japanese fashion that centers around an appearance inspired by living in the woods. Clothing with embroidery, various kinds of lace, and light materials are preferred. And for layering, cardigans, vests, and knit scarves and shawls are often used in this style. When I started delving into the Mori-kei aesthetic, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, by the way, please feel free to make fun of me. I don't know. My Pinterest became like this amazing layout of like beads and lace outfits with these like pretty pastel light colors. I was gagged. I was like, hello. And while I was in this amazing fantasy land, I stumbled upon this collection by Rurumu's 2023 Summer collection. Is like the embodiment of this aesthetic. The combination of the textures and the chaoticness of this collection really speaks to me. Like, oh my god, they literally look like IRL fairies, and I love that it's so detailed and personal and also just very unique and creative and playful. When I saw this is actually when the whole like collector core aesthetic came into my head. As we know, I really am into personality core, like including pieces of yourself into your outfits and making it very unique to yourself. So the idea of adding little bits and bobs of like different textures and layering and adding just a bunch of stuff to your outfit, it's just very, very personal. Like no one can recreate the outfit that you're wearing. Like, it's really like a little fairy picked up all the things that she liked and she was like, I want this and I want this and I want this, and put it all together to make this combination of things. Especially since a lot of the pieces are handmade or secondhand, it makes everything very personal, you know? Especially like, look at this little headband. I think it really fit the aesthetic and I made it yesterday. I love it. But moving on. Fabrics and textures that itch your brain in the right way is just a very important part of this aesthetic, especially creating beaded things and like the handmadeness of this aesthetic when it comes to like the textures you pick out or the beads that you decide to wear. Every detail is important and is personal to you. This core reminds me so much of ASAP by New Jeans. ASAP, wait, A-S-A-P, baby, hurry up, don't say maybe, This video is one of my favorites ever. The artistry and the editing and the cinematography mixed with the styling, especially I really love that editing style of music videos, and also the little things that they were wearing in the ears, super gorgeous. This handmade style, I love that it looks like they cut out pieces of paper and made it like stop motion. It looks super handmade. My friend Ames, or at Amesy, also at Sick on Instagram, has utterly devoured this aesthetic, I fear. While I was delving into this core, I just couldn't get her designs and fashion and generalized aesthetic out of my head. Her designs are the perfect mixture of fairy textures, colors, patterns, and everything. Her personality really comes out in the designs, and she really embraces this like handmadeness of everything. Like, it's just amazing. So she's super talented. So please go check her out. Love her. Love you. But the loose creativity of this core is kind of what sells it, I think. It's really down to like the personalization of every detail and really thinking about it. It's collector core. Like, you collect all the things that make you you and you put it on yourself in a very whimsy, girly, fairy type of way. But there's also the more toned down Trinket Girl core that I've been seeing trending lately. You've probably seen the rise of like the Tommy February 6 aesthetic and the Trinket Girl aesthetic popping up everywhere, where girls deck out their bags with the trinkets that they like. There's also an emphasis on pastel colors, polka dots, and mezzo piano. And I think also like manchichis, and you guys know how much I love my manchichis. I love my manchichis. They are also featured a lot in this aesthetic, I've noticed. I've low-key been calling this aesthetic like the quirky girl core. Not in a bad way, because I know people use quirky girl in a bad way, but no, girls, we know how much I love women. Like, I think the characters that have this aesthetic really embody the quirky girl trope. Like, I always get reminded of Jess Day from New Girl.
I break for birds. I rock a lot of polka dots. I have touched glitter in the last 24 hours. I spend my entire day talking to children, and I find it fundamentally strange that you're not a dessert person. That's just weird and it freaks me out.
Because she wears polka dots, like she has like a bubbly personality, she loves crafting and stitching, and she's a teacher, so she kind of like embodies like this trope, I think. I even saw Les Seraphim's hot stage performance have this aesthetic, which that's how you know it's trending. No shade to Les Seraphim. Love them. It's definitely derivative of 60s American fashion. The polka dots, the general silhouette, and also like the pattern mixing, it's definitely coming in. It's coming back, it's coming in. I think the first thought when you see this aesthetic is kind of like Y2K 2000s, but the 2000s were taking inspiration from the 60s. They were doing to the 60s what we are doing to the 2000s. But I can still see why people label this aesthetic Y2K, especially with Tommy February 6 being kind of the plastered face of it. Like, she was the ideal quirky girl, especially in the Lonely and Gorgeous MV, where Tommy is just dancing around uncut in her pajamas holding a flask in like a Victoria's Secret-esque type of set. And then it just like cuts to her serving cunt with like men. Love. Eight down. Like, it's super camp. Like, I think that's like the whole point. Like, everything is really campy. Like, especially the Je t'aime music video. It's completely stop motion and like, again, has this kind of handmade feeling to it, you know? I think Tommy's songs trending, as well as her general aesthetic, has brought a lot of popularity to this core, creating a bunch of variations of it on Instagram. I think the rise of this aesthetic is when I saw people be a lot more creative with their Instagram posts, especially people who do fall into this aesthetic. But I fear you can never undo the doer. But since I've been talking about high fashion a lot, there is also a high fashion line that embodies this aesthetic. Dior's 2005 summer collection. You know her. I've seen this one a lot. Like, I know this one is popular and it definitely fits right in. Like, this is the core. This is the core. Obviously, I feel like a broken record saying this, but think also Y2K, and you know what I'm gonna say. Fruits Magazine and Harajuku has a lot to do with this aesthetic. I definitely see the inspo. I see her. I do also think Decora and like watered down Decora is like an influence of this aesthetic, because again of all the layering and like the pieces and the customization and the personality and all that. The many brands on Taobao are the pioneers of this aesthetic. Like, they are there. If you see a popular influencer with this aesthetic, they will be wearing a piece from Taobao. All of these things have made it very possible for this aesthetic to live on. And I definitely think like the Fairycore aesthetic, then the foraging fairy aesthetic, and then the collector core aesthetic, they're all separate, but I definitely think that they have very similar elements to it. And I definitely get invoked the same emotion when I see these. I also think like the quirky girl personality, like I think each one of these aesthetics kind of embody that. Like, there's a very specific type of girl who participates in this aesthetic and also makes clothes, and not just quirkiness, but creativity. Cause shit, dude, like some of these are amazing. At Renkilla on Instagram, she definitely has like her own core going on. But again, like the Taobao, like the personalization of her art on her clothes, like all of that, I think I definitely had to bring her up because she is there as well. But I do feel very connected with this aesthetic because I think it allows artists, specifically women artists, an outlet for their creativity and their self-expression. Especially it getting so popular, I think the emphasis on the creative part of this whole aesthetic is really what makes it different than just generalized fairycore or like the sheen fairycore, and also just aesthetics in general. Like, but I think there's so many different variations to this like big aesthetic is because of that. And that's why I kind of fit it all in the same category, because it's not just the clothes you wear, but it's also the type of person you are, you know? Yeah. Period. Bow. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had so much fun making it. I also had so much fun playing dress up for it. I definitely feel so inspired to incorporate all of these things into my own style. Like, I definitely am inspired by this style, and there's just so much possibility to get so many different things, and I just love that. I love that. But I also love making this video because my mom loves fairies. Like, the book that I featured in the beginning is actually my mom's. This is literally me. I've been looking at that book since I was like crawling, dude. Like, I love it. It's really so gorgiana. But I am thinking of doing making a specific Y2K aesthetic video as well. I'm kind of struggling with like the direction I want to take it, but if that is interesting to y'all, I would love to make it. I was also thinking of making like an Espa type of core aesthetic video, like the cyber Y2K aesthetic. Love that as well. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun making it. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you like seeing my face and to become my BFF forever and always. This is my Instagram. And yeah, I have a new video coming out very soon with my BFF Fairy that's super, super, super chaotic. And this one, I was on my best behavior. I was in studious mode. But in the next video, I definitely let loose a little bit. So please, please make sure to subscribe so you can see the diversity of Roy Bunny. Yeah. Okay. I love you all, and I will see you next time. And scene.